Fire 716, your boy Big Frank. You're locked into Big Frank in the morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever this may find you in the world, in the universe. What it is, what's up, is going down. Fire 716 Radio. If you're listening online, Facebook or YouTube, make sure you download the app and make sure you guys tap into the conversation via the app. That's where you're going to get the music. You're going to get a dialogue of information, news, content, prizes, giveaways. That's gonna be where that is. But listen, before I left you this past week, now listen here. This past show we did recently was just it was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was good. So I want to get into the conversation today and really dive into these roles because one of the things that were brought up in conversation yesterday, somebody, one of the callers, but by the name Eric, tapped in and was like, "Hey, the Bible says, submit to your husbands, submit to your wives, submit to your husbands, and husbands submit to your wives." But that is not the storyline. That is not what it entails. That is not what the responsibility is, if you will, of what the text truly says. But listen, we're getting ready to get into that kind of conversation. I had a good weekend this week. It was good. It was fire. I'm gonna put me an R&B song. I want to put the question in the comments as well with the phone number, and we're getting ready to dive into a conversation because we want to talk about relationship roles. And my question is, what I put out there is, who has the greater responsibility? I'm like, Frank, why would you start this? Because I think that society keeps talking about these roles, and I get how they're different for everybody, but I want to take a viewpoint of this that as much as that woman or that individual is sanctioned to love and to love your husband. No, let's pause here. It doesn't say love your husbands, okay? It says wives submit to your husbands, right? That's what it says. And we use that. We've heard that for years, and we beat it out. Oh, you submit to me. I'm the authority. But then this is where I want to focus on today. Really, husbands have the responsibility, based on the book that I believe in, to love their wives like Christ loved the church. And that's what we're going to get into today. I want to talk about the role of that man when it comes down to that woman. And I want to talk about the role of the woman when it comes down to the man. This is bigger than talking about just paying bills and who does what. But my question to you, before I even get started, who has the greatest responsibility? Is it love or is it submission? I'll say it again. Is it love or is it submission? Because when you start talking about, like I told you, the storyline, wives love, submit to your husbands. It doesn't even require you to love your husband. Oh, yeah, you're not gonna like me this morning. But it talks about submitting. It's talking about yielding to an authority or being willing, watch the word that they use, to accept the vision or to accept the idea or the concept of the person that you're connected to. Y'all don't want the dialogue. Like when you start talking about wife and submission, this is not talking about being, what's the word? The word I hear recently is a narcissist. This is not talking about being narcissistic. This is not talking about just taking advantage of you. But when you become in a union with somebody, there should be a level of submission that goes forth about the greater vision. What is the plan for the family? What is the plan going forward? What do we want to accomplish? Where do we want to go? But oftentimes we're so caught up with we're not willing to yield. We're not willing to relinquish a hold on things that we think somebody's always trying to come for you or challenge you or be difficult. But let me get in my soapbox. Listen, the number's there. Feel free to call in and chime in. But this role of submission that we talk about with the woman or the wife all the time, we've worn it out so much. Oh yeah, do what I say what I do, and that's not what that means. That means that, listen, I'm willing to make and this is we about to get in trouble already. I'm willing to make some adjustments for the betterment of this family structure. I'm willing to trust your lead and your guidance in this. I'm willing. Now I'm talking. I'm not the woman. I'm just talking about what the text says. And feel free to chime in. Feel free to comment. Um, because the truth of the matter is that we are responsible. Good morning and good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm matter of fact, I'm on the wrong. Forgive me, I'm on the wrong screen on my side. But the truth of the matter is that there's a responsibility that goes forth from the woman. But I'm about to get into this conversation about the man because I got checked. I got checked recently. Like how long? I got checked this morning because as much as I want that woman to be a part and to be a vibe, the truth of the matter is that the man has a responsibility. Now watch this. Watch this. Watch this. So I told you that the wives are to submit. That's what the don't judge me. That's what the text says. I'm a preacher. That's what it says. So it says, wives, submit to your husbands, right? But it tells the man, and this is the part that nobody wants to highlight. It tells the man to love you like Christ loved the church. Now, we talked about this for a hot second on the show on this past Monday. But do you not know the cost that Christ paid for the church? Okay. And feel free to chime in. Feel free to give me a call. Because as much as the women talk about, oh, I'm not going to submit, I'm not your traditional person. Do you not know I have a responsibility to die for you? Okay. I have a responsibility to love you so much and good morning, mom, to love you. I'm supposed to love you so intensely that I'm willing to die for you as a husband. Now, watch what the text says, and this is where I got in trouble at, because the text says, "Husbands, love your wives like Christ loved the church, that He died for her." But is not God Jehovah Jireh the provider? I'm supposed to provide for you. This sounds crazy. I'm supposed to make a way out of no way for you. I'm not saying that the husband is supposed to be your God, but I have a responsibility to take care of you. And we used to say, oh, there's a part of this journey where you got to handle things on your own. I comprehend that. But as a husband in this union, what you're submitting to, good morning, cousin, good morning. What you're submitting to, or what you should be submitting to, is my Christ-like features. What's happening is we got people trying to operate in their own role and responsibilities as men and women, that you're trying to submit to something that I'm not supposed to be representing. Okay. Listen. The call number is there. Feel free to call in and chime. Cousin, good morning. Mom, good morning. Gloria, good morning. But the truth of the matter is that these roles that we're talking about in between, trying to figure out, do I pay bills? Do I not? And I get that natural side of things, but I'll say this. As husbands, I think we've dropped the ball when it comes down to understanding. Oh, ladies and women, you're not off the hook, okay? Let me just deal with my men for a minute. We've dropped the ball in trying to identify and locate the responsibility of the husband. I get it. We have listen, and y'all about to get mad at me, and I don't care, because I'm talking about the outline that God gave. Husbands, love your wife like Christ loved the church. And if Jesus Christ is all these things, but look at what He did and what He's done, there's a responsibility for me to love you, to take care of you, to tend you. But what's crazy is y'all not gonna like me for this, and y'all gonna get mad at me, and it's okay. Because in that text that I'm in Galatians 5, I believe, and it talks about, it didn't tell the wife to love your husband. It told her to submit. It told her to be willing to relinquish, yeah, and this is relinquish your own idea and concepts so that you can put your trust in the fact of your husband. But watch this, the husband is supposed, listen to me, the husband doesn't dismiss or just push away the ideas and the concepts and what that woman's bringing to the table for his own gain. What the husband is supposed to do is say, you know what, my wife is gifted, my wife is talented, she brings these things to the table. How can I work what she brings into the table so that we can get to the vision of the family overall? That's the responsibility of being the priest. What is the vision overall? I'm on pause here because I feel some revelation happening, and I don't want to overwhelm y'all with too much information, because the Bible, and Friday, welcome to Bible study on a Wednesday in the morning with Big Frank. Okay, it's what it is. Give me a minute. Because watch this. This is crazy. Now catch this. So the Bible talks about God being the author and the finisher of our faith, meaning that God wrote the end outcome, and then he wrote the story backwards. This is good. In other words, I feel like I'm preaching this morning, but hey, welcome to Big Frank in the morning. God is changing some things. What he did was God wrote the story at the end, wrote it backwards, and we're working it out. In other words, God already he has a vision for the end product. What happens is in our marriages, and I'm not a guru. I'm 3 years in, a wife, 3 kids, and we working it out. But he had a vision for good morning, family. Good morning, Juanita. Good morning, mom. Again, he had a vision for the church from the beginning. And sometimes in marriage, we don't have a vision for the marriage overall. And what we end up doing, we're trying to wing it along the way, and we realize it ain't what it was supposed to be. It don't look like what it was going to be. It looks chaotic. We don't get it, and we give up. We don't have a vision. And this is what the text says: a man without a vision will perish, because we don't come into the marriage with vision. Kelly, good morning. We don't come into this union saying, hey, this is what we want the outcome to be. These are the things we're going to do to try to get there, and we'll work it out along the way. What we're doing is we are running. I'm going to get out of here. We're running on emotional and physical things, because the vision isn't emotional. The vision is the plan. And I'm about to get back to these roles, because the husband is, and I'm going to talk about this, is so busy. Oh, this is crazy. Trying to be provider that he's missing that there's a time for emotional connections and conversations. So, because give me one moment, and feel free to call in. The call in number 716-205-8136. You can call in and chime in at any time and any moment. The phone lines are open. And what happens is, some of us as men, we're only trying to be one side of Jesus, one side of Christ. Rosalind, blessings. We're trying to only be the provider, because I get it, the natural needs of life. We talked about this on Monday. I understand it. But God is not only provider, he is counselor. Wonderful counselor. Not only is God a defender and a bodyguard, but he's also arms you can run to. Oh, the phone line is open. Sorry, 716, call, you're on the air.
Good morning, Frank. It's Kelly.
Kelly, good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm doing good.
That's good. This has to go back to your show yesterday,
yes,
as far as investing.
Yes.
Okay? Because when you get into a relationship, before you get into a relationship, you have to invest in yourself for growth,
yep,
to be willing to grow, and to know what your vision of your future holds.
Absolutely.
So therefore, when you step into a relationship with somebody else, you not only have to learn how to invest in yourself still, but you have to invest into your partner.
Yep. Valid.
My husband and I have been married 4 years. It'll be 5 years next year. Frank, you know my son Hunter. He's 22 now. my husband had to not only invest in me,
Yep.
but he had to invest in my child.
Yeah.
And it worked. We have literally a 50-50 relationship.
Valid.
And that comes right from finances to daily activities to emotional support for all of us.
Yes. Yes.
And a lot of these relationships today don't want to do investing.
Yeah.
It's instant gratification. They want what they want. They want it now. They don't care about anybody else.
Yeah. That's the society that we live in now. Everything is
Hmm.
instant and quick, and I want it right now. But the truth is that investment piece is crucial. And even with the principles that I use, even with the text that I chose, church is my baseline in the Lord. But it's like God invested in us, and you got to invest in yourself. But you got
Exactly.
you. There is a team effort here, but there's a work you got to do in yourself, which what you talked about, so that you know what you want. And I think that sometimes people think they're going to get with somebody and it's just going to happen just like that. No, you have to work. You have to work the plan. You have to work. You have to work it. You got to that word again. Invest. You got to
Yep.
invest. You just got to invest.
Exactly. And when I got with my husband, I was Catholic. He was Catholic at one point. But then he started realizing that the Catholic Church wasn't the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not Catholic anymore. We've gone to Baptist church.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone to born again churches. We've tried different churches.
Valid for sure.
And right now he goes to one church and I actually go to a Baptist church in Niagara Falls. And I'm actually, Frank, you know me, I was like Solar. I liked helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And when COVID struck, that got cut out of my life, and I just recently brought that back.
Yeah.
I have taken under my wing 4 young African American children who the parents have fallen on hard times,
Yeah.
didn't have school supplies, didn't have clothing for brand new clothing for school and for the winter. I just took my paycheck and I went and I helped them.
Wow. That's amazing.
And it feels wonderful. And I can only do that because I got back in touch with God again.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Without God, I would have been self-centered and been like, whatever, they can do it themselves. Let the parents go get another job.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
But
for sure.
I can't do it. It's not me. And my husband is supporting me 100%.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Kelly,
So,
thank you for calling in. I appreciate you. And it's always good to hear from you in the morning. And I want to commend you for your work that you're doing in the community and just at church. And that part where you're saying, listen, we y'all support each other. You and your husband, it's a support system here. And I think that is important as well. And some of us don't have that support system. But I'm gonna open up the phone lines again for some people to call in. But I thank you for calling in. I appreciate you.
take care, Frank.
You too as well. And just to aid to that, because um we're trying to do this, and I'm talking like I told you, I ain't been married a long time. I got 3 years, 3 kids, you know, but we can't you cannot do this for real as husband and wife without having understanding. My mom wrote, Chantel said, invest, communicate, intimacy, um financial and protection. And those things and those components are proper, and they work both ways. And some of us, now this is where everybody get in trouble. Going back to that parallel between husband loving your wives like Christ loved the church, and then her submitting. What happens is that the conversation isn't happening both ways. Some are talking but not listening, and some are listening but they never saying nothing. And that communication has to be effective. It is a two-way street. It works both ways. And if you're not going to do it, then you need to figure out, is marriage for you? And guess what? Marriage comes with the giving up of your own idea. No, you can't just submit to money. And let me let us be honest and let us be clear. Because as much as yeah, I'm about to get in trouble. Because based on society, right? Um Jesus, Jesus, Jesus said, Jesus himself said in the statement, listen, the Son of Man ain't got a place to lay his head. I'm taking this journey of life and I'm winging it, but I'm doing it for a greater cause, for the bride that I believe is the church. He was doing it for Israel. They denied him. Then we got into the church. I don't want to get into the I don't want to preach it too much. Um, but in this life, we understand that finances is a tool. Now, if we understand that finances is the tool and we can live more efficiently with more tools in the box, what I'll say is that there has to be communication and there has to be an exchange in how we're going to make this money work for not just the provider, but for us. And that's not saying that, oh, I got to go to work. Okay, if you're going to go to work, you're going to go to work and you're going to handle this, this, and this. I got you. But we're going to balance this out so that we're not neglecting the other components of our relationship. But I want to be very honest, and I can talk for truly as a wife, we'd be frustrated, silently dying. And mom, I agree. But also as the man, we are dying silently, trying to make sure everything is okay because we believe, watch this concept, that we have to be the one to hold the weight and to do what needs to be done so that the house doesn't fall apart. So I find myself overwhelmed just trying to maintain or keep things from falling apart. So I have to, this is society now. This is not God's concept. I exchange my time for money. And the more money I have, the more I can do. The more money I have, I can execute what I want. So I can easily get caught up in the money. But if my wife doesn't have a conversation, not just a complaint, but a conversation to say, babe, my wife has done it to me. You're working too hard and you're doing too much. Because when you say that to the man, my next response is, I hear you and I agree with you, but if I don't work this, what is the alternative to make sure that there's no lack in this area? And that's where communication and conversation is important. Derica said, based on society today, everything is looked at as 50-50, but it shouldn't be. So many men say they shouldn't submit if so many women say they shouldn't submit if they're bringing in the finances too. I hear you. We'll get into that. Um, my mom said some men think it's just their responsibility, and the wife think it is up to you. The wife has to be up and doing something as well. Absolutely. And to Derica's point of view, based on society today, everything is looked at as 50-50, but shouldn't be. So many women say they shouldn't submit if they're bringing the finances too. And I hear you. I hear that concept. But based on the foundation of what we're talking about, your submission, I grant the financial side and how it makes you feel more empowered because you got more money or you bring in the finances. But there's things that the husband is supposed to provide that your money not gonna get you. Get out of that. Even if you bring in more money, you may judge me, you may not like this phrase, but there are characteristics of manhood that you will not be able to aid to in the household. For those who had the privilege of having both parents in the household, there is a benefit that comes along with that is different in a single parent household. Okay. And I get it. Once again, I want to backtrack for a hot second because if you bringing in more money is going to impede on your willingness to submit, then that should affect the way that I love you if we're going to do it like that. Because once again, the husband is supposed to provide security in the natural, emotional, and spiritual. Truly, that is a fact because like I said, the Bible told the husband to love you. But the Bible told the wife to submit. My love for you pushes me to be the provider for you. It's supposed to. My love for you pushes me to be an emotional support for you, and it should be. My love for you should want me to be a spiritual asset to you in advancement and not trauma causing, not narcissistic, not agonizing, not always in the way. But life is real, and as husbands, if there is no outline and no guide to show us how to be this person, you'll get a version of us that is based off our trauma and experience. Can we talk about what? Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm in my joint. Um, Eric said, "Can we talk about what does submit mean exactly?" Submit means that you'll okay. And please feel free to call in and comment as well. When you talk about submission, that is a willingness to take to yield to something or someone else. Simply meaning that, listen, doesn't mean that I've lost my identity. Doesn't mean, oh, the caller is here. The callers are the callers are here. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Peace and blessings.
Yes.
Y'all are really, really on to something today. I'm loving the show this morning. I just have to say really quickly, all of it is null and void if people's mindsets, if they're not getting their truth,
For
if they're
sure.
not getting their reality, if they're not getting their reality from God's word.
Yep.
So we can say all of this and talk until we're blue in the face, but if somebody holds their standard of truth to be the world, the culture, ice spice, you know,
For sure. For sure.
if the music industry is determining your standard of truth,
Yeah.
then it's like, I think the logic you're coming from is a sound logic and it's based in reality, but I know it's based in reality because I get my logic from
Right.
God
Right.
and God's word. And my word is a little different than your word, but essentially it all has the same message.
Understood.
And
Yeah.
I strongly, support your message, and I really pray that God bless you, because this is what we need for the Black family. This is what we need for family life to flourish. And if we don't have strong families, we don't have strong individuals. We don't have strong communities.
For
So
sure.
keep up the great work.
No, will do. Thank you, caller. Appreciate you.
You're welcome.
And that's a true statement. That we truly, I get society and the message that is given now. Yeah, I don't want to get too far off, but I want to get two things, and I'm gonna get back to Zaima's comment, is her phone call she just made as well. The submitting is really a willingness to surrender for a better cause, because what we tend to think is that because you've submitted or you've surrendered or you've given up a portion of your identity or piece of who you are or your plan, that your plan or identity is dismissed, and that's not the case. The phone line is here. Hey, caller, you're on the air. Hey, caller, you there?
Hello. Good morning. This is Derek Newsom.
Hey.
Hi, family. I just want to also commend you all for having this conversation, because Black marriages and marriages in the church, we've tried to live a certain way for such a long time. And when you get into the thick of marriage, it kind of all blows up, because you realize you cannot model your marriage after someone else's.
Absolutely.
You cannot model your marriage after what society says it should be. You have to model it after the word and after what works for your family, which boils down to communication. You have to
Absolutely.
communicate honestly, totally with your spouse, with the security and knowing that how you feel won't be judged.
Right. No, for
So
sure.
I don't want to take up too much time on y'all call, but
No,
you
you're good.
know
No,
I'll
you're
call
welcome.
in and talk all day.
No, absolutely. You're more than welcome to. All right. We got to bring you in the studio soon.
Absolutely. Let me know
Absolutely.
when.
I will do. Will do.
All
Thank
right.
you. Yes. And that's on point. And God in His infinite wisdom. And I'm so sorry for those who like, oh, is he preaching or I'm talking? This is my foundation. This is my life. And what it is your relationship with God is unique. And that means that the way that God deals with me isn't the way that God might deal with somebody else, right? Because mind you, that I'm using this concept that husbands are to love their wife like Christ loved the church, right? That's my foundation. In the way that I love you, the way that I approach you, the way that I deal with you, through our communication. So she's on point. Uh, lets us know how we're going to build and where we're going. But at some point, if we ever stop communicating, good God Almighty. If we ever stop talking, you will then be left to your own ideas and concepts and projection. And nobody talks about that. Like, I get that we argue, we didn't agree, we didn't make it happen. But the moment that we stop communicating, I am now left to assume what I want to assume. And then my reality and your reality isn't the same. Where because we're not communicating now, I project that you're mad at me. You really want to talk to me, but I think you don't want to talk to me because you don't walk past me. You don't walk past me. In reality, we want to get together and make up and do some great things together, you know? Um, but because of the fact that you stopped communicating to me and I stopped talking to you, we now have opened this door for this wedge to come between us because there's conflict. And that's when, as Derek has stated, when you're in the thick of it, when you're in it. And let me help you us real quick. We have to be open to communication. You have to be open to hear the true heart of your wife. You have to be open to hear the true heart of your husband. It is a responsibility because if not, because what we do, yep, I'm gonna talk about it. I got 24 minutes. Just like we get into this kingdom situation, we get into it, we real hyped in the beginning, we get really excited for it, and we start doing stuff that produce stuff. And then life in reality hits again that these are two different people with two different backgrounds, with two different levels of principles and concept, but we found a common ground that opened us up to get with each other. And we have an idea and a vision, but we're realizing that as much as we want this beautiful, perfected marriage, that there's a work of two becoming one. That makes sense? Does that make sense? That we're here. And for two to truly come to one, somebody has to have a vision of where we're trying to go. And somebody has to be able to submit and support to that vision to help get there. I don't know how I got here. But sometimes the problem is that we have this notion that your submission is a dismissal of everything that your heart desires. And that shouldn't be the case. Add it to the plan. And I won't get into this today. I'll save that show probably for the okay, I'm gonna pause right here. Next Wednesday, for the women who are available, those who are on, I'm gonna definitely try to hit you up with a message. If you're available next Wednesday at 8:30 in the morning, I would love to have you all come to the table and really discuss that woman's point of view when it comes down to identity, motherhood, and companionship and personal life goals, and the balance and the struggles of that. Because as a husband, I am not supposed to be dismissing or dismantling your dreams, aspirations, and goals. I should be adding it to the plan for the future and the outcome of our family. Why, Frank? Because you are the example of what my daughters and my son should be projecting to connect to in their future for advancement. Let me get to the comments before I get too far gone. Eric said, real, real talk is how we really work. I strongly suggest the book Love and Respect by Emerson Eggerich. He's a pastor, and is educating about the roles and what our roles needs mercy. I add words. He is educating about the roles and what our role needs most from the other in marriage. Women need love and men need respect. Valid. It is not popularized, but this is neglected on our part as a society. Respect is just as important. Um, Tish, good morning. You're helping me as a single woman who desires to be married. Thank you, Elder Frank. No, to God be the glory, for real. Because what happens now is that respect is valued. But watch this. It is important, and I get this. I understand this. It is important that the man is really doing his due diligence for that support, because let us be honest as humans and as children of God, that as much as we love God, as much as we sing to him and do these things, that when things don't work out the way that we should, we get emotional. And sometimes our response isn't reflective of a person who has all things already worked out. I'm in trouble here. Okay, I'm gonna go. I gotta clear it up. Wives, submit to your husbands. Husbands, love your wife like Christ loved the church. Hear me. Now, now. As children of the Lord, we submit to Jesus Christ and to God. And this is just my foundation, so don't hope you can get my concept and not get caught up on the people that I use. We can get emotionally caught up in the moment because it don't look like what he said, but then we have to come to a grips with the reality that he has it worked out. What would happen if the wives treated their husbands in the same manner? That yes, I got emotional. Yes, I got frustrated in the moment because it didn't make sense. It didn't, but I trust and believe because God gave me you that he's going to work it out. This does not give the man access to do vile and foul things intentionally and on purpose. But guess what? You realize along this journey in marriage that things that I thought I had together, I realize I don't. And just like you finding out, I'm finding out. The phone lines are open. Hey, caller, you're on the air.
Good morning, brother. This is Brother Hans.
Hey, Brother Hans, good morning. How are you, sir?
I am blessed. How yourself now?
I'm
I just
good.
wanted to give a comment there. You know, a lot of times people is not finding themselves before they go into a marriage or a relationship.
Yep.
First of all, they gotta find themselves. First of all, they gotta find God. God got to be the center of every relationship, every marriage, in order for anything to work.
Yeah.
But then we look for people to love their wife or a wife to submit to their husband when their husband is not submitting to God, and the husband do not have the love of God up inside of them.
Yeah.
So they don't know how to love at the expectation where God wants them to love. You know, as like Christ loved the church. So we gotta humble ourselves down. We gotta sometimes humiliate ourselves for our wife, just like we humiliate ourselves for Christ.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In order for us to love our wife, in order for us to do for our wife. And I like what the young lady came on. I think her name was Kelly, if I'm not mistaken. When she called in and she was like, you know, it was a time where she was able to give 50-50. Her and her husband was able to give 50-50. Now, that was a decent statement, but I think every marriage should bring in 100-100. You got to give your all in order for anything to work.
Yeah.
And I know where she was coming from, but we got to give that 100-100 in order for, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying, you know, financial wise, but I'm talking about all of you got to be all of your wife, and all of your wife got to be all of you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But keep doing what you're doing, my man. Look at here. Don't worry about what people say, because look at here. You're doing the works of God. This is your ministry. And may God bless you, your family. You know what I mean? And continue to add grace to you guys.
We'll do. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Most definitely.
That was good. Absolutely. And like you said, God has to be the center, because if you don't understand, watch this. What in this, no matter what walk of life you come from, no matter what your experiences are, if you don't understand the love of God for real, and what that takes to experience that, you won't even be able to accept yourself. Pause here. If you can't really accept yourself, you're not going to be as efficient trying to accept somebody else. I can get into that a little deeper. That might be another conversation. But we need to ask a question. Do a woman have to submit to her husband if he is not a believer, born again, but he is a provider in the home? You want to know my honest question? Yes. Now, 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 now. Now, this is a true task, because whether you came in married, God has to be the head. No, watch this. Because God is the head, absolutely 100%. God is top tier the head. But now you find yourself in a relationship that is unbalanced, okay? But because the balance is off doesn't mean you can now dishonor, disrespect, or change. The question will be conversation. And that doesn't necessarily, this will be crazy. It doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, come to church, get saved, get to the altar, get the Holy Ghost, and now you can lead me. No, it is the principle of conversation. Now, the challenge you're going to have is that you're going to want Christ-like love from somebody who doesn't know him, and that's going to be the challenge. But your responsibility is to still submit and surrender. But with proper conversation, you would be able to say, hey, babe, we haven't talked about our goals in a while. We haven't really talked about a plan we want for our family. How do you want to live? Y'all don't hear me talking. We ain't got to go tongue talking and yeah. Now the question is, now that the man has to the call. Hey Carla, you're on the air. Give me one moment, okay? Yeah. So the wife now knows that she has to submit to her husband, but she knows that there has to be more pulled out of the husband. So you have to be wise, because a wise woman builds her home, and ushering in this God agenda without necessarily being aggressive and beating him down because he's not coming to church, or he's not doing this, or he's the street still calling. What's the vision for the family? How do you want to live? How do you want this exchange to go? Can we communicate more? Can we do, because when you change how you handle him, it'll pull him and it'll sanctify a thing. Hey, Carla, you're on. How are you doing today?
Good morning. How are y'all doing today?
Good. And yourself? Good.
Doing good. Enjoying the show. I appreciate the topic of conversation. As always, it's very, very solid. It's going to change. The dynamic between, I feel, every family is going to change.
Absolutely.
As far as what submission looks like, right? Because somebody could have a job that pays more, somebody could have intelligence, but I think at the end, it's respect and really listening. Really? Right? Like really listening. Like sometimes, but listening without the intention of responding, but really observing, and then planning it together of what, and sometimes repeating back what does it mean to you?
Yeah.
What are you hearing?
Yeah.
So it's definitely it's a hard dynamic, because sometimes we are raised by our parents differently, depending on what we observe, what we see in society, or even in the music industry, movies, everything like that. A lot of things impress upon us on how we are supposed to be. But I think at the end of the day, it's like, if we can really be humble before each other and figure it out together, and figure it out bravely and boldly to be a different representation to our children and to others, then I think that is the most successful way to go about this, and be before God, so no matter what the circumstances, one knows the Lord, one doesn't. But I think it's at the end, it's respect and understanding that none of us have it figured out.
Absolutely.
We don't.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
No, thank you. Appreciate you for calling.
Take care.
You too. And they're also on point, because a part of this is that, guess what? We don't know it all. We are in the process of development, because as much as the wife is told to submit to the husband, and the husband is told to love his wife, we have a submission. Okay, there's a greater goal here. There's a greater, but sometimes that's challenged. And one word y'all said, I heard repeated throughout the call, was respect. And respect. Let me help you. Let me help you. Listen, and I'm going to be very open here. Respect is so important because sometimes we as men we do lack communication, and I can agree to that, and we do. And sometimes we are just moments away from crying. We are sometimes moments away because it did not work out the way that we thought it was going to. We had I listen. I'm in a place right now today. I almost cried this morning, and I can be open like this, and I don't mind because I projected based off what I was informed that these things was getting ready to turn by this date at this time, and we were getting ready to happen. And when it didn't happen or whatever the delay is, and I find myself that God, I have no other option but you. And that sounds good to the person independently, but as a provider, as covering my house, the bills and these elements, God, this is just me being honest. As a husband, watch this. As a husband, as a businessman, as a spiritual leader, in community influence. You say, Frank, but it looked like you're doing. Listen to me. God is a keeper. But as a husband and a man, um, right now would be a dangerous time to be disrespectful because I'm already hurting inside. I'm already dealing with challenges inside. I'm already got, and me and my wife will talk today, because she's handling some things. Um, it's no, and what Eric says, bro, I'm on eggshells. It's hard to talk for fear of response of the perception change. Absolutely, I get that, but I'm at a point where it's like, okay, I got to talk to my partner. This is what I thought was gonna happen, and I projected, and I made all these promises and ideas, hoping that certain things would show up. But now that is not here, and I don't see another way in the quickness to get the finances. I'm just talking real. From can I just be honest in this last 10 minutes? And the question is, I'm on the verge to cry. I'm breaking right now on the inside. But today isn't the day to get disrespect from my partner because it only aids to the destruction of the does that make sense this morning? Like your respect in the listen, the woman, sometimes we're fighting so much to be the head that you don't realize that your willingness to help support where we're going is what we need. Because without you, we can't get there. Nobody talks about that part. That the fact that I obtain favor when I find you, there's certain places I can't get to until you show up. Your portion and your input, your direction, your God, your words are essential to the advancement of this family, its legacy, and its going forward. And when the man disconnects from the support, he in trouble. And then when a man is breaking down and can't communicate, he in trouble. Let's talk. Angelo Gordon said, who's willing to accept the flaws of someone to see the perfect imperfections? Teach and let the truth be the crutch. Being hurt by someone is inevitable. So if you understand, we have to take abrasions to feel the heel. We will become established. We will. I'm sorry. We will become established. It's about, are you willing to deal with that person's flaws to become the future? Absolutely. And Pastor Tyra, thank you for tapping in this morning. But the truth, and I'm talking in truth because this is the part of the show that you're the woman, and I'm just gonna just give you your credit. You are so powerful, that you are so impactful. And I'm not saying that your conversation doesn't come against any like challenges. You checking me, we got our strong places, but your words hold so much weight, whether we tell you or not. So for you to ever come off disrespectful, or and I'm not saying you can't communicate, but there has to be a proper way that we can communicate together and efficiently. But if you start offering up belittling and those elements, what happens is we may not say it to you, but we tap out of the willingness to communicate. We tap out of the willingness to engage in because we're afraid that the perception just might change. Ever says, I think what happens though in conversation where we don't feel edified but feel destroyed or torn down by our partner, we don't know how to respond to that as well. And so that brings upon multiple destruction, mutual destruction towards them, and disrespect. So we have a lot to learn within the conversation means of that positioning or situation. 100%, because respect is required both ways, and we have to make sure that we are engaging in that on both ends. Husbands, there's a love and a respect that you have to have for your wife. And yes, there's some things that you'll have to tolerate and work through until you get to a place. And for wives, vice versa for your husband. No, I'm so sorry that everybody doesn't have the ideal lifestyle or the projected, oh, here's a good representative. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to work it out. And I think, as Brother Hand said earlier, that sometimes we don't even know who we are. Watch this. The part two is we thought we knew who we were until we got together and realized that there's more of us required. And that person, we don't know who we are. I do a lot of things. I'm in the business class working a lot. But the question is, at the end of the day, who am I? And what do I present to the people who see me and watch me? Listen, I got about 5 minutes left. My time is almost up. I want to thank you guys for rocking with me on this Wednesday. Ladies who are on here, I'm going to reach out to you directly just to see if you're available to come out on next week, Wednesday, because I would love to hear that conversation of motherhood, business, being a wife, your dreams and aspirations, and how you navigate through that. So I'll reach out to you all, see if you're available. Who we were shouldn't be who we currently are, because growth happens. Apps. That's Derek, when you come to the table. Tell the family next week you busy Wednesday at 8:30. So I'll reach out to you guys directly. But listen, on this Friday we have Pastor Dion Brinson coming. He has a book about relationships and connections, and the topic is called Pain. So tap in Friday at 8:30. We're gonna do that. If you're looking to do a podcast or you want to do your own show, reach out to me 716-371-1903 or message me here. I hope that this broadcast was really good to you on this morning. We are en route to a place. We are maintaining some things. If you want to just be a support to the show, if you want to donate to keep this thing going, lights, gas, all those things, you can cash at Fire 716 Radio. You can PayPal at fire716radio at gmail.com. Listen, y'all, it's been good. It's been real. If you want R&B music and just hip hop music, you can go download the app for free in your app store. It's going down. It's been real. It's been amazing. Y'all have a blessed and amazing day. And I'll see y'all Friday at 8:30 right here on Fire 716 Radio. Peace.